So today we will start with the next concept, that is multi-dimensional array, or you can say 2D array. Yesterday I have taken one example based on 2D array, like how you will enter the matrix and how to display that matrix to the user. Okay. But what if you wanted to perform some action or some kind of operation on those matrix? Then how this operation will be performed? Okay. So let's take some example based on the same. First, like what if you wanted to perform the addition of two matrices? Then, for that purpose, first anyhow we have to start by including the header files, then void main. Within this, declare the matrix first. Now, if I have to perform the addition of two matrices, then total I need to declare three matrices. Two will be the input matrix and one will be the output matrix. And all of those matrices must have the same dimension. Then only the addition of matrix can be performed. Then another thing, like once those three, like you can say matrix are declared, after that I need to take the user input for two matrix. Okay, so let's declare them first. Now after declaration of a matrix, you just have to declare two more variables, that is I and j, one for row, another for columns. Okay, it's not like I have taken three matrix, it means I have to declare the six different variables. Those two variables can be used repetitively for all of three matrices. Okay, now let's ask the user to enter the matrix A first. So I will say enter the matrix A. Now, yesterday we had seen, like whenever we are accepting a matrix, you have to make the use of nested for loop over there. Okay, because the outer for loop will specify the number of rows and the inner for loop will always specify the number of columns. So for I start with 0, I is less than 2, I plus plus. Within bracket, j start with 0, j is less than 2, and j plus plus. Sorry, as we are accepting the matrix, so scanf %d, comma, ampersand a of I, j. Now, just like we have taken the user input for matrix A, in the same way, we have to take the user input for matrix B. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I have just copy pasted the same code. So enter the matrix A in the same way here. I'll just replace this A with B. And in the same way, within a scanf also, you have to replace A with B. Done. Okay, the input is taken. Now we have to perform the addition of two matrices. Now in mathematical way, the addition of two matrices is performed directly. Okay, like you just have to take the addition of first element of the matrix A with the first element of matrix B. Likewise. Okay, now in case of matrix, you just have to keep one thing in mind, that is whenever we are performing any operations, you have to perform those operations or you have to write that formula within a nested for. Okay, let's see for plus plus. Similarly, I'll take for j. E of ij, sorry, c of ij means the resultant variable equals to a of ij plus b of ij. Okay, done. Now here for using this, by using this for loop, the addition of matrix will be performed. Okay, like C of 0 0 equal to A of 0 0 plus B of 0 0. Similarly, C of 0 1 equal to A of 0 1 plus B of 0 1. Likewise. And once the addition of matrix is performed, you just have to display the addition matrix, which is C. So we'll say addition matrix is here. We have to print that diagram. So printf %d and we will print C because within a C, this data will be saved. Okay, printf /n. Done, and then get ch. Okay, let's save this. So matrix 2 dot C. Okay, so I'll explain the flow again. For this program, initially we have declared three different matrices, A, B, and C, all of the same dimensions, that is 2 cross 3. Then I have accepted the matrix A from the user. Similarly, we have accepted the matrix B from the user. Once the user input is taken, by using nested for, I have returned the formula for performing the addition of two matrices. Okay, and as you know, in case of matrix, the addition is performed linearly. Okay, or you can say in a direct order. Okay, so that's why I have written the code as C of ij equal to A of ij plus B of ij. Okay, and then the addition matrix is displayed as like person C of ij. Done. Okay, so let's see. Oh, wait, something is missing. Randomly, I have entered some numbers. So the addition matrix must be displayed as 3, 8, 12, and 3. Okay, so you can see 3, 8, 12, 3. This is how the output is displayed. Okay, if you'll put /n over here, it will display the matrix properly. Just for simplicity purpose, I have taken simple numbers. You can see the addition of matrices 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, done. Okay, so this one is the second example of a matrix. Okay, now I will take one more example and then we will start with the next concept. Okay, so another example is, what if you wanted to print the transpose of a given matrix, then how it will be printed? Now, let's say if my matrix is, means within A, I have stored 1, 2, and say 3, 4. Okay. Then the transpose of this matrix is, means A transpose is taken as, suppose if I'm taking the transpose as B, then this is taken as, the rows and columns will be interchanged. Okay. Means the first row will become a first column and the second row will become a second column. So accordingly, here it will be changed as 1 space 3 and 2 space 4. Okay, means the rows and columns are interchanged. Okay, so if I wanted to create a formula, then let's represent them through index. Okay, so if I'll say B of 0 0, so B of 0 0 is nothing but what? A of 0 0, because 1 1, that value is same. Similarly, if I'll represent B of 0 row, that is first row, second column. So B of 0 1 is nothing but A of 1 0. Like you can see, B of 0 1 is 3, which is nothing but A of 1 0. that is second row and first column. Similarly, B of 1 0, that is second row first column, is nothing but A of 0 1, and B of 1 1 is nothing but A of 1 1. So all the diagonal elements remain as it is, but for non-diagonal element the formula will be like B of ij is nothing but A of ji. Like you can see 0 1 is nothing but 1 0. 1 0 is nothing but like 0 1. Okay. So here simply we will get the formula for the transpose of a given matrix as we just have to interchange the rows and columns, and here the rows and columns are displayed or represented through I and J. Okay, so let's see how it will be printed. I'll just save this as matrix 3.c. Okay, now for the transpose of a given matrix means like if someone just asks you to print the transpose of a given matrix. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to like store it somewhere and then display it. Okay, what I want is I just wanted to print the transpose of a given matrix. Then for that purpose, you will require only one matrix. You don't even have to take the another matrix. Okay, let's see here. I have declared the first matrix. Then we have taken that matrix. I'll just remove this much code. Then, first of all, we will display the original matrix or matrix A. So here I'm displaying the matrix A. And then for displaying the transpose of a given matrix, you just have to write transpose matrix is percent D A of, you just have to bring Ji instead of Ij, because we just have to change the sequence for row and column. Done. Only this much code we have to write. Let's see the output. What is missing? Oh. Enter the matrix A. So if I have entered 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see the original matrix is displayed as what? 1, 2, 3, 4, and the transpose of given matrix is displayed as what? 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay. Now, on the basis of this, you have to perform one, like, means you have to solve another example. That is, you just need to check whether the entered matrix is symmetric or not. Okay. Now, any matrix is called as symmetric if its transpose and the original matrix is same. Okay. Like if I'll enter 1, 2, 2, 1, you can see the original matrix is also 1, 2, 2, 1, and the transpose is also 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay. So understood this much part, that is like 2D array concept.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have to start with the next concept, that is function. Now, in general, what is functions? The definition of function is function. It is a named block of code which is compiled once and executed many times, and the functions are mainly used to like provide the reusability in your application. Okay, because the same function can be executed or can be invoked for the multiple times once it is compiled. Another use of function is it allows us to break the large code into the small pieces of code on the basis of their functionalities. Okay, so in C, these functions are mainly divided into two different parts. There are built-in functions which are also called as predefined functions, and there are user-defined functions. Okay, user-defined means the functions which are created by us. Now, in predefined functions, we have the functions like printf, scanf, getch, clear screen. These are the functions which are given or provided by the Turbo C developers. Okay, and for using those functions, what we have to do is we just have to include the header files. Okay, so just like we have seen stdio.h and conio.h, in the same way, first of all, we will learn two more built-in functions, and then I'll explain about the user-defined function. Okay, so as I said, there are two different type of functions are available. First one is the built-in function, or you can call it as inbuilt functions, and the predefined functions, and another is user-defined functions. Okay, so inbuilt in functions, now we will learn about math and string functions. Okay, so for using math function, you need to use one library called as math.h. And for using string functions, we have to use the library as string.h. Done. Okay. Uh, let's see how this math.h and string.h is implemented. And then I'll start with the user-defined functions. Okay. So first of all, we will implement math.h. Now, I have already included math.h. Now, maximum math functions, like you can say 90% math functions returns the output as double value, or you can say floating value. So I'll declare only one variable over here as say double a. Then clear screen. Let's start implementing the function. The first one is absolute. So if I'm printing the absolute of minus 15, okay. Now, what is the purpose of this absolute function? Absolute function mainly used to uh, calculate or find out the determinant of a given value. So here, in case of absolute of minus 15, it must return the value as 15. Why? Because in case of determinant, like according to the maths concept, the determinant of minus x is nothing but x. Okay. So here the absolute of minus 15 is written as 15. Okay. So this function can be used in case of you are accepting a number from the or some like kind of amount from the user. So if there is a validation that the price or amount should not be taken in a negative, then you can put this absolute function over there so that the given amount, like even if the user enter amount in a negative, it will be converted into the positive and then it is stored within a database or within our program, okay, for the calculation purpose. So first one is the absolute. Similarly, the next function, which is, let's see, the another one is square root. As you know, we cannot perform square root easily. So they have given one option that you can perform it directly by using the predefined function, which is square root. Okay. Now, in the same way, next we have to learn the trigonometric functions. I'll just copy paste this. So in trigonometric function, we have sine, cos. I'll take sine 0 just for identifying the correct output. I will take the sine 0, cos 0, sine, then cosine. Then we have tan, tangent value. Cot sec and cosec is not there. We can easily find out it by dividing 1 by sine, 1 by cos, etc. Okay. Uh, the another function is log. Log functions are mainly used to implement the logarithmic values. So I'll print log 10 first. Similarly, in logarithmic function, we have one more function, that is log 10. Means what? Log x to the base 10. Okay. So if I'll execute log 10 function like log 10 to the base 10, it must return the value as 1. Okay. So the another function which I have given is log 10. Then the next one is exponential. Like if you wanted to find out the e raised to something, then that can be find out by using exponential value. Then we have next, which is power function. Power function is used to take x raised to y. Like if I wanted to take the 2 raised to 7, then I can write power 2 comma 7. Similarly, we have ceil and floor, these two functions which are used to round off the value. Okay. Now in case of ceil or ceiling function, it always round off the value into the nearest largest integer. Means even if I have given ceil 1.1, still it will return as return the value after rounding off as 2. Okay. Like even if I write 1.00001, still it will be returned as 2. Means it always round off the value into the largest integer. Okay. And the floor is exactly opposite to ceil. Like if I have returned floor say 2.99, still it will return the value as 2. Means it always round off the value into the nearest smallest integer. Now let's see the output of all the functions. Oh, so you can see absolute of minus 15 is 15, square root of 25 is 5, then sine 0 is 0, cos 0 is 1, and that's why tan 0 is 0 because 0 divided by 1 is 0. Then log 10 is 2.30, log 10 to the base 10 is 1. Exponential of like e raised to 1 is 2.71, just because I know that value, and that's why for testing purpose we have entered 1. Then power 2 raised to 7 is 128, which we already know. Then as I said, in case of ceiling, even if I have returned 1.1, it returns 2, means it will display the value as 2. And in case of floor, even if I have written 2.99, still it return the value as what? 2. Okay. So this is how the math functions are implemented. These are used generally for performing some kind of, or if there is an implementation of some mathematical code. Okay. Then these functions are useful. Okay. Now, let's take the another example, that is string functions, like how to implement them. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Now, string. What exactly the string is? How to take the user input for string and how to display the string. That we will learn first. And after that, I'll start with the examples, or you can see the functions of strings. Okay. So, string is nothing but a collection of characters, and the collection of character can be taken only by using character array. Okay, so string is mainly used to store the collection of characters. Like if I have to store a complete line, if I have to accept a complete word from the user, then that can be taken with the help of this string. Okay, so for using string you need to declare the character array first. Okay, so if I have to just declare the string, then it can be declared in this way, comma. If I want to initialize it, then the string values are always initialized by using double quotation mark. Okay, and say I have declared one more string. Done. Okay, we have declared three different strings. Two of them are just declared and one is initialized. Now, what if I wanted to take the user input for string? Then we will ask the user to enter the string first. Now, just like for other data types, for integer, float, double, we have the wildcard character like %d, %ld, %f, %lf. Similarly, for string, we have one wildcard character which is %x, sorry, %s, which I have already given. Okay, so %s, comma, ampersand, say s1. Now, in general, like just now we have seen, like we had seen, in case of single dimensional array, you need to accept the array data with the help of loop. Okay, but here I have like simply used scanf %s comma ampersand s1. It's just because we are accepting a string value, and that's why there is no need to use any loop over here. Okay, now let's print the data first. So s1 equal to %s. Now in case of string, for performing all the type of operation, you just have to use %s comma s1 comma s2. Let's see the output. So enter the string. If I have written hello, you can see within S1 the value is stored as hello, and within S2 the value is stored as welcome. Okay. So both strings are now taken. We just have to perform the operation on them. So for performing the operation on a string, we have the different functions like the first function is used to find out the length of a given string. Okay. How? Like printf length of S1 is %d. Now why I have written %d? It's just because the length is always taken in an integer format. Okay, so strlen, say s1. So whatever the value we have taken, on the basis of that, this length will be taken. Slash n. Another is we have option to convert the string into the uppercase or into the lowercase. So %s uppercase, strupr, okay, say s2. So that welcome will be converted into the uppercase. In the same way, lowercase %s, str, lwr, s2. So this is used to convert the string into the lowercase later. Okay, then printf. What if you want to concat two strings? Concat means what? Joining a first string with the another string. Okay, so concat %s comma strcat, say S1, comma S2. So S1 and S2 will be concatenated and together the modified string will be stored within S1. Okay, done. In the same way, we have the another functions like what if I wanted to copy the data of one string into the another string? Then for that purpose, we use strcpy. So if I have to copy the data of S2 into S3, then the strcpy function, copy function is used as copy S3 comma S2. It means S2 will be copied within S3. So after taking the data, let's print the value of S3. Done. Then the next one is what if you want to compare two strings, whether they are equal or not. Okay, then for that purpose, we use the function called as strcmp, that is compare. Okay, now compare function always returns the output as integer. Okay, like if it returns 0, it means both strings are same, and if it return either a positive or negative value, then those strings are different. So I have used that function, and the output of that function is stored within what? I. Okay, then printf, suppose I'll print the output of compare first. Okay, just to show you that how that output is returned. Then check if I is exactly equal to 0, then I will say printf both strings are same or equal. Else I will print the statement as they are not equal. Done. And the last function from the string function is reverse. Just like we have seen how to print the reverse of an entered number. For printing the reverse of an entered string, they have already given the function that is strrev. Okay, that is reverse. So reverse of string is strrev, say s2. So reverse of this s2 will be displayed. Okay, done. Let's execute this first. I'll explain this. Like character s1, like I have declared two strings, and I have taken the initialized one string over here as welcome. Then I have taken the user input for string s1. After that, we have displayed both the strings. After displaying those strings, next is we have taken the functions like string functions as strlen. The length of string is displayed as s1. Then uppercase that can be displayed by using strupr, lowercase that can be displayed by using strlwr. Then concat, it is used to join two strings like strcat function is used. Then we have strcpy. This function is used to copy one string into the another string. Like S3 will be copied into S2 will be copied into S3. Then we have strcmp. This function is used for comparison purpose. Now, how exactly these strings are compared? Uh, Generally, for the string comparison purpose, they use one logic as initially, like every character of our string will be converted into the ASCII or Unicode values first, and then it will subtract those values. Like if I have taken welcome and say hello. So first W, like the ASCII value for W is taken, ASCII value for H is taken. Then it will subtract the ASCII value of W from ASCII value of H. Okay. After subtraction, if we will get 0, then only it will compare for the further string. But if I'll get the value other than 0, it will simply return that value and store it within I. Okay, and that output will be displayed. So if the first character is matched, then only it will check for the second, then third, likewise. And if in case of whole string, if it returns 0, then only we can say the strings are same, else they are not equal. And similarly, reverse of string is also displayed. So you can see S1 and S2. The length of S1, the length of prognos is 7. Then welcome is displayed in uppercase as well as it is displayed in lowercase. Then after concatenation, we will get the string as prognos welcome. After that, within S3, I have saved the data of S2, which is welcome in a lowercase. So just because S3 and S2 both have the same value, so after comparison, we will get the value of I as what? 0. Okay. Then after comparison, like just because I have used else over there, it will print if both strings, like I is exactly equal to 0, and that's why it print strings are equal. And then I'm printing the reverse of a given string. Okay. Uh, Komal, hello, Komal, hello, hello, कोमल आवाज येतोय तुला? कोमल तू 11:30 नंतर कनेक्ट हो. ऍक्च्युली आता मी लेक्चर घेतेय, दॅट्स वाय तुमचं 11:30 ला मी घेईन. ओके.
आय थिंक सो तिला ऐकू नाही येते प्रतिमा.
असं वाटतंय.
नेटवर्क
हा
प्रॉब्लेम
आहे.
आहे
नाही झाली ती लेफ्ट आता.
ओके.
Okay. So done. So here our predefined or built-in functions are completed. Now we have to start with the next, which is user-defined functions. Okay. So what is user-defined function? Just like I said, these are the functions which are created by us, okay, or which are created by the user for performing some type of operations. Because just like we have seen, the predefined functions are not like they are not sufficient for performing all the type of operation. Okay, there are some operations which we have to perform manually. Okay, and if I have to perform this like particular operation again and again, like I have to calculate the area of a circle with different radius, then I cannot write that code for the multiple times. Okay, or if there is a function which like ask the user to accept the data of a particular student, particular employee, then we cannot write the individual code for every employee or for every student. In this case, we have to or we must have some option through which I can write the code once and we can execute it for the multiple time for n number of employees. Okay, and that can be possible by using functions. Okay, or taken another example, like just now we had seen the example of addition of two matrix. Now in that example also I need to make the use of that nested for again and again, or I have to write the same code for accepting the two different matrix. The only change is matrix name. So in that case also we can create a reusable function through which I can accept the matrix information or I can show the matrix information. Okay, so you just have to write the code once and you can execute or reuse it for the multiple times. Okay, now for creating a user defined function you need to understand its syntax first. Okay, so for user defined function the syntax is divided into three different parts. Okay, which are those? Let's see. The first one is function declaration. So for function declaration, we have to write just the return type, function name, arguments, and semicolon. Means that function is immediately ends with semicolon. There is no body or no like block of statement is provided. This is just a declaration which is totally optional to use. This is used only when, means it become mandatory only when you are defining a function after main method. In that case only the declaration always comes first, like before using that main method. Okay, like let's take an example. If I'm creating a function add, then we can say void add int a comma int b semicolon. So this is function declaration. Now the once the function is declared, obviously we have to provide its definition also. So the second part is function definition. Okay, which has return type, function name, and within a block we have to provide the statements. Okay, so the same function can be defined. And the last one, once the function is declared and defined, the last part is what? Just a function calling. Okay, so how the function is invoked? To invoke that function, you just have to provide the function name and their corresponding values if it has any arguments. Okay, and the function calling is always done within a main method or within another function. Okay, function definition, it can be created above, or you can say before main and after main, and function declaration is always given before main method. Okay, or you can say at the starting of our program. Okay, so these are the three different parts of the function syntax, like user defined function syntax. Okay, or the steps for creating a user defined function. Okay, now whenever we are creating a user defined function, like they have given four different ways to declare them, okay, or to create them on the basis of their return type and the arguments. Okay, like the first way is we can create a function with, sorry, without return type and without arguments, or you can say parameters. Okay, like void add empty parenthesis. This is a kind of function which doesn't have a return type and doesn't have any kind of arguments or the parameters. Second one is we can create a function without return type but with parameters, like void add. I will represent the same function in a like all four ways. Then we have option to create a function with return type but without argument. Okay, like I will say int add empty parenthesis. And the last one is we can create a function with return type and with parameters. Okay, like we will say int add int a comma int b. So these are the four different ways of declaring a functions. Okay, now we will take the example of all of these four ways. Okay, so let's see. So let's take the example of first type first, like first way, that is function, like creating a function without return type and without parameters. Okay, and I'll take all those, like all four type of examples within a single program, that like so that it is easy to differentiate, like what is the advantage and disadvantages of each way or each type of function. So first one is a function without return type and without parameters. Okay, now I will make the use of all three. Okay, like void add. I have just declared the function over here. Then we will take a void main. We'll write the code for void main later. Now I need to define that function. So if we are defining a function outside main, means after main method, then only you have to declare it first. Means this part is mandatory only in this case. Okay, because the thing is we are calling this function within what? Main. So according to the top down approach or the stepwise execution of our code, the function will be invoked first and then it is defined, which we don't want. It gives an error. What kind of error? That I'll show you. Wait. So now I have created a function which doesn't have any return type and doesn't have any parameters. So obviously I need to take the user input within a function, as well as I have to display the output from the same function. Okay, like how? For addition of two numbers, obviously we will require the two numbers. There is no need to take clear screen over here. Simply declare the variables, then enter two numbers, scanf, %d space %d, comma, ampersand A and ampersand B. The data is taken. Addition is %d, comma, we'll say A plus B. Done. Okay, so function is defined. Now the last part is what? We just have to call the function. And the function calling must be done within a main. It's just because when we execute this program, only the main method is executed first. The remaining code will be compiled, but it will be executed only if I'm calling it within a main. Otherwise, that function will not be invoked. Add, and the last one is get ch. Function not c. So you can see it directly invoke that function, and the addition is performed. Okay. Similarly, if I'm calling, like if I want, I can perform this addition for the multiple times. What I have to do is I just have to invoke that function again and again. So you don't have to write the code. What we have to do is we just need to call this function by his name. Okay. So with the help of this single line, I'm actually reusing these many lines of code. This is an advantage of using a function. Now, just like I said, if I'm not declaring this over here, and if I'm directly calling and defining that function, then the problem will be, you can see it gives a syntactical error, that is type mismatch in the redeclaration of add. Means it considered as the declaration of add over here, and this is taken as a redeclaration of add. Okay, means that function. Okay, and that's why this declaration is always required. Okay, so understood the first way of declaring a function.
Yes, Pratima.
Okay, now the second is what? You have to declare a function without return type and with parameters. Okay, so I will say void, we'll take the function as area int r. Okay, now I'm declaring and defining the function over here only. Okay, means I am defining that function within, before main, and that's why there is no need to declare it. Okay, now we have taken an area function with one parameter, that is r. So if I'm accepting radius with the help of like parameter, then obviously there is no need to accept the radius from the user. We just have to print the output. So I will say printf area of circle is %lf 3.14 into r into r. Done. Now how to call such a kind of function? For calling this function, we just have to write area, and in bracket you need to pass some value. Now either we can pass the value directly, or we can take the user input for this. How? I'll explain. This is for addition, and then area of circle is displayed. Why? It's just because I have directly specified the value over there as 5. But what if you wanted to accept the value from the user, just like we have taken for addition of two numbers? Then in that case, within a main, you need to write the code for accepting that value. Sorry. So enter the enter the radius, scanf, percent d, comma ampersand m, done. So this is for addition. Then you can see area of circle for 5, like radius with 5 as displayed. And then enter the radius. Oh, sorry. I've just accepted the data, but we have not invoked that function. So enter the radius. If I have entered as 7, you can see area of circle with radius 7 is displayed. Okay, done. Just a minute. Okay, done. So this is the second way of creating a function. Now the third one. Okay, third is what we have to create a function with return type and without parameters. Now, how to use this type of function? Let's say if I have taken int cube. Now, this function doesn't have any argument, so obviously I need to take that data or argument from the user. For calculating the cube of a number, we need to accept the number first. So enter the number, scanf, percent d, comma ampersand n, and then whenever we have a function with a return type, it's mandatory that you have to use return keyword at the end of this function. So through this function, we have to return the cube of a given number. Okay, so I will say n into n into n. Okay, the cube will be returned. Now, how to invoke such a kind of functions? Because I'm not printing the output over there. What I have taken is just the number and we are returning the calculated amount. Okay, so in this case, there are two ways for calling this function. The return type of function is what? Int. So take another integer variable, say output. You can invoke a function and store that output, like store the output of that function within one variable. Okay, so printf, let's say cube is percent d, comma, that op. This is the first way of calling a function. Okay, like a function with return type. And another way is just because this function directly return the output, so you have option to call that function directly within printf also. Comma, I can write cube. There is no need to call that function separately and store the output within a variable. You can call it directly within a printf. Just like I have invoked some of the math functions, sorry, string functions directly within a printf command. The same way. Enter the radius, then enter the number for calculating a cube. Again, enter the number for calculating a cube. So you can see it is displayed. So when you have to use such a kind of functions, if you have to take the user input and the return value, like you wanted to make the use of return value somewhere within a calculation, or you can say another formula. Okay, then in that case we can make the use of function with a return type. Okay, now the next thing, the last one, which is a function with return type and with parameter. Okay, mostly in case of mathematical calculation, this type of function is used. That is the fourth one. Okay, how? Let's see. If I wanted to perform the division, like the division always return what? Floating point value. So float div. Now the choice is totally ours that what type of user input we have to take. So I have taken int a comma float b. It's just because, just like we had seen in a menu driven example, in case of division, the divider must be given in a floating point format. So I'm accepting the value of b initially as floating value. Now, just because I have the parameters, I have the return type, and that's why you simply have to say a divided by b, nothing else. Okay, so now I have defined that function after main, and that's why you need to declare it first. So I will say float div. Now, at the time of declaration, even if I'll just write this much part, still it is okay. You don't even have to specify any type of parameter name over here. It can be just int comma float, and at the time of defining it you can give a b x y anything, because these are called as what, these are treated as a formal parameters, and these values are treated as what, actual parameters. Okay, so let's call this function. Again, for calling this function we have the same way as we had seen over here. So for now I'm calling this function directly. Division. Now I need to pass floating point value over here. So we will simply say 4.5 f. F is given to specify that we have taken a floating point value. Just because now you can see for cube it returns output as what, in minus something. Okay, it's just because I have accepted the large number, and the output returned by that number cannot be stored within integer, and I have taken the return type for cube as integer. Okay, so if I'll take the cube of 67, okay, it will exceed the size of that integer theta type. Okay, so in that case you need to take the return type as what, long, not integer. Okay, but this is how these four type of functions are implemented. Okay, now let's see in which cases they will ask you to write the code, or you can say program with the help of function. Okay, so I'll take a new example for this. Now let's see if I ask you to calculate this series, that is 1 factorial plus 2 factorial up to n factorial. Then for that purpose, if you have noticed over here, in this particular series, the factorial function means that fact function is repeated again and again. I need to take the factorial of every number. Okay, and that's why you need to create a kind of function which allows us to perform the factorial and return some value also. Okay, so how to create such a kind of function? Let's create a function first. So the factorial generally return integer value. I have written int fact. It accepts only one parameter, which is integer. Now we have, like suppose here I have written the code for calculating the factorial. Now we already know that how to find out the factorial of a given number. So I'm just writing the same code. Equal to f into I. And just because this function has a return type also, that's why we have returned f. Done. This much part is completed. Our function is ready to use. Now how this series will be calculated? So I've taken a main method. Within a main, let's declare some variable like int number, which I have to accept. Number is nothing but the value for this n. Okay, end of the series or limit of the series. Then the output will be saved within an integer variable as say summation equal to 0. And another variable we will require is incrementer, that can be given as I. Okay, then clear screen, printf. Let's ask the user enter the number. Ampersand. Okay, once that number is taken, now I have to implement this code, and for that purpose, obviously, I'll require the for loop, which starts with n and execute up to number. So for I will start with 1. It is less than equal to number I plus plus. Now I have to find out the factorial of every number, that is I, and we need to store that output within a summation variable. So I will simply say sum equal to sum plus fact. That function will be invoked, and within a function we will pass the value of I. Okay, so factorial of I will be calculated, and then I will say printf sum of the series is percent %t, comma sum get ch. Let's see how it is implemented. Okay, so obviously the execution will be started with what? Main method. First of all, I'll accept the number. Let's say I'm accepting the number as 3. Okay, it means we have to find out the series or calculate the series as 1 factorial plus 2 factorial plus 3 factorial. Okay, so once that number is taken, I have started f with what? 1. 1 is less than equal to 3. The condition is true. Sum equal to sum plus factorial of 1 means here this fact function will be invoked, and within n value will be passed as 1. It will find out the factorial of 1 and return that factorial. So I will get the value of factorial of 1 as 1. So sum equal to sum plus 0 plus 1 will be 1. Then I will again increment, it will become 2. 2 is also less than equal to 3. So we will calculate sum equal to sum plus factorial of 2. So it will again invoke that factorial function. The factorial of 2 will be written as 2. So currently the value of sum is what? 1. 1 plus 2 will be 3. Then the value of I will also become 3. 3 is less than equal to 3. The condition is still true. Sum equal to sum plus factorial of 3. It again invokes the factorial function. The factorial of 3 will be written as 6. And initially the value of summation was like 3. So 3 plus 6 will be 9. Okay. Then I will increment, it will become 4. 4 is less than equal to 3. The condition is false. And that's why it will take exit from this for loop and print the summation of the series is 9. Okay, let's see. You can see it means we have the correct output. 153 because 120 plus 24 plus 9. Okay, that is nothing but 153. Okay, done. So in this type of calculations, this function with return type and with parameter is required. Okay, like generally in math they have given some kind of formulas like summation of n with summation of I starting with 0 to n, and then they have given one formula. Okay, so in those type of formulas, this type of function is always required. Okay, now this is all about a function, like the user defined functions as well as built-in or the predefined functions. This is a part of module 5. Okay, now just a minute, Supriya. Uh, Hello, Supriya. Um,
Yeah, Pratima.
I'll just come within a 10 minutes. There is some
Sure, sure.
emergency, so I have to go. Okay.
Sure,
So I'll do
sure.
one
You
thing.
can.
I'll stop the lecture over here and we'll
Yeah.
connect again at like something around 11:20. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So I'll just text you whenever I'll come back. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.